The losers. See how your vote counted tonight at 10.
The waiting is finally over, and the time has come to end the suspense.
We cannot find the groom. You need a lift?
Knots Landing premieres Thursday.
Frida Evans is Evening Shade's town gossip. If we could get a word in edgewise, we'd have her invite you to the premiere of Evening Shade Friday, September 21st. But she's pretty busy.
This is CBS.
Next on the 10 o'clock news, tornadoes ripped through northwestern Wisconsin, causing extensive damage. We'll take you there live for a look at what happened.
The election ballots are filled out and are being counted. See who will face off in the governor's race and the Senate race.
Plus, what the president says to justify the U.S. troops in Saudi Arabia tonight. I'm Cindy Hilger for Don Shelby.
And I'm Colleen Needles. That plus dumping a landfill.
The 10 o'clock news on Channel 4 is next.
It happens so fast, it's almost over before it starts. Dayton's 13-hour sale starts Wednesday, ends Wednesday, open till 11 p.m.
The tempting aroma of new Tombstone Singles Pizza is in the air, and it's coming after you. As the crust browns, its crisp, buttery taste beckons you. As the real Wisconsin cheese melts, it teases you. As the toppings sizzle, it entices you. Yeah, nothing tempts you like new single-serve pizza from Tombstone.
Why do so many people go to Hardee's for breakfast? That's why. Right now, get a sausage and egg biscuit, biscuits and gravy, or a cinnamon and raisin 2-pack for just 99 cents. Hardee's, all kinds of good stuff.
If you're like most women in America, you have 3 or 4 pairs of jeans in your wardrobe. One that's too small, one that's too big, one that's hopelessly out of fashion. And one that fits you every time you put them on. Lee jeans.
From WCCO Television, the community's first choice for news in the 90s. This is Colleen Needles, Don Shelby, Mike Fairborn, and Mark Rosen. And this is the 10 o'clock news.
Across the state today, voters marked their ballots in the primary election and fed them to be counted. The results tonight on Election 90. But those results are overshadowed by tornadoes that twisted through western Wisconsin tonight. Good evening. We begin with that.
The tornado struck just a few hours ago in Barron County, Wisconsin, about 90 miles northeast of the Twin Cities. Heavy damage is reporting in the towns of Rice Lake, Cumberland, Canton, Cameron, and Almena. For the latest, we go live via satellite to reporter Tom Gasparoli. Tom?
Cindy, I'm in Canton, Wisconsin, which is in the heart of Barron County. Far and away, the most damage we have heard about is right here in Canton. We're right off Highway M. Right behind me is the main intersection in Canton. Several homes, as many as 12 homes here, were seriously damaged by that storm. The storm raced through here about 6 o'clock. Residents say that there were at least 30 tornadoes sighted and as many as 15 touched down. The good news, we have heard of no injuries anywhere in Barron County or in any of the other counties hit by the tornado. There was some terrible damage to show you, though. Let's take a look at some of those pictures right now. This house was the hardest hit. It looks more like a toy house with one wall literally ripped out. Stunned residents inside trying to assess the damage. No one hurt here, but the house ruined. A feed... As you can see, we had some problems with the tape. We apologize for that. The mill in this part of town was completely destroyed. That's where the farmers take their feed and mix it, bring it back and feed their cattle. That's wiped out. One house was like a toy house. One side of the house literally ripped apart. No one was in the house at the time. Those people are fine. Several other houses up and down the main streets here are seriously damaged. We talked to several residents milling about in the front yard. They were shocked. They were almost speechless, but they were thankful that no one had been hurt. There are trees down all along some of the main roads here, blocking a lot of the main roads, but so far we've seen a number of heavy machinery pushing those trees out of the way, and the roads are open right now. There is no power in Canton right now, no power to speak of. We're not sure when that's going to be turned back on. Clearly, it'll be morning before we have a better idea of just how serious the damage is, but no one is reported missing here. There's a lot of damage. People will wait till the morning to see just how bad, but the good news is that no one was hurt.
Tom, do people there receive a lot of advance warning? Were the sirens going off, and could that perhaps be a reason that there were not injuries and no missing people tonight?
Definitely. The sirens went off in most cases that we've heard about. People rushed to the basement, and they waited till the storm was over before they came back up.
That's good to hear. Thank you very much, Tom. Colleen?
Help is already on the way tonight from the Twin Cities. The Red Cross truck from St. Paul left this evening, and they will be joined by emergency workers from Nelson, Wisconsin, where a tornado touched down just 2 days ago.
Some of you may be wondering if there are more storms on the way, and Mike Fairborn joins us now for a very quick update. Mike.
We've had no new reports of tornadoes since about 7:45. So that's been quite some time, and all of the indications on radar that these are not tornadic storms, but they're still very dangerous storms. We still have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 10:45 for southern Bayfield, southeastern Douglas, Sawyer, and Washburn counties. Now listen to this. Baseball-sized hail reported in the town of Trego. That was at about 9:17, and 3/4-inch diameter hailstones about 15 miles south of Hayward, and that was at 9:28. And cities in the path of these storms still are Hayward, Stone Lake, and Lake Chippewa. So this area is still very, very dangerous. It is moving to the east now at about 15 to 20 miles an hour, and nothing right now threatening the Twin Cities. We'll have a complete weather update in a few minutes.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to turn to tonight's election results as they're coming in. We're going to turn first to the governor's race and on the DFL side to see how incumbent Governor Rudy Perpich is faring against challenger Mike Hatch. And as soon as we get those numbers, there they are. With 9% of the precincts in, Perpich with a lead over Mike Hatch with 13,690 votes to 11,579 votes for Hatch. That's about, with the votes now in, Perpich has about a 53% of the votes compared to 45 for Mike Hatch.
We turn now to the independent Republican governor's race. And again, with 9% of the precincts counted, we look at the Grunseth-Clark ticket at 50% with 11,678 votes. Carlson-Dierstead, 33% with 78-32. We have Doug Kelly with 15% and Rackner with 1%. Again, that's 9% of the precincts reporting. We are going to go live right now to the Arnie Carlson headquarters. Pat Kessler is standing by live. Pat, what's the mood out there tonight?
Cindy, Carlson supporters are still ebullient here. They're still having a good time out here at in Bloomington. However, they're a little bit surprised, not yet concerned with what's happening yet. Arnie Carlson has joined us here tonight to talk to us a little bit about this. When is the time to be concerned here?
Oh, I think once the votes start to get into about the 40% level, at that point, I think we can take it very, very seriously. The truth is, at this point, we don't know where the votes are coming from. We don't know what kind of trends are setting in.
Now, we've heard that you wanted to come out of the chute very strong, see some good, strong results here. Where do you need to do well?
We need to do well in metropolitan Minnesota. We need to do well in Olmsted County and the Mississippi River area, Winona, Red Wing, Lake City, all of those areas.
So it sounds like a long night ahead of us here.
I think it's going to be a very, very long night, yeah.
Okay, Arnie Carlson, thanks for being with us tonight. Now, Bill Hudson is over at John Grunseth headquarters. Bill, what do you hear over there?
Well, Pat, we're just a couple blocks away from you at the registry in Bloomington, and we've got a very confident John Grunseth and Sharon Clark group of supporters here. I also have with me a very confident John Grunseth. How do you interpret the early numbers?
Well, I think they look very, very good at this stage. However, I think it's a little premature to predict anything, but we're heartened by the trend.
John, you said you had to build up a lead in the 1st, 2nd, and 7th districts. Do you see a trend developing there?
Yes, we do. In fact, those are areas that we had to carry very strongly in order to prevail, and the trend there does look positive, but again, it's just too early to tell.
Last question, John. Do you expect that we're in for a long night? Is this thing, you've got quite a lead already, but early results are in. Very low percentage precincts reporting.
Well, that's right. We have about 16% of the vote in, and it has us up not quite 2-1. That looks good, but I'm anticipating a long night.
Okay, very good. You heard it. Anticipating a long night. We'll be here. Back to the set. Colleen?
Okay, thank you, Bill. And now we're going to go to visit Trish Van Pilsen, who is standing by at Mike Hatch headquarters at the North Star. Trish?
Hi. There is certainly nothing here yet to celebrate about the Hatch race. That's about the noisiest the crowd has been yet here this evening. It's been pretty quiet as the crowd has watched Perpich pull slightly ahead. The results are still very, very early. Mike Hatch is here to tell us how he reacts to those. At this point, how do you feel about the numbers?
Rather positive, actually, because it's our understanding those totals are coming from the Secretary of State's office, and that those numbers are coming from the 1st, 2nd, and 7th districts. As a result, we think that we'll do better in the other districts that'll be coming in.
Any idea how long it'll be before you start to see numbers you interpret to be more encouraging?
Well, once we get some numbers from the rest of the state, the metropolitan area in particular.
And high turnout to you is going to be important, do you think?
Well, we would like high turnout, but we want to win. Doesn't matter whether it's high or low at this point.
There you hear it. The man wants to win. We will be here watching as that happens. Perhaps the most animated thing here to happen tonight is been watching Mike Hatch's 3 daughters, and 11-year-old Catherine has been telling the reporters that among her friends, Rudy Perpich is known as the P word. So we're going to watch to see whether her predictions on the outcome of this race pan out. Colleen?
Okay, thank you, Trish. Well, now we're going to go on to some other returns, notably the DFL race for the U.S. Senate.
Let's take a look at those returns if we can right now. We have Jim Nichols and Paul Wellstone with 10% of the precincts counted right now. We have Wellstone with 62% and Jim Nichols 34%. We are going to go now to Alan Cox, who is standing by at DFL headquarters, where I believe Paul Wellstone is. Alan?
Colleen, Paul Wellstone just finished a brief address to the audience. He said he wasn't prepared to claim victory, but he said that the trends look very good for him and for the other DFL-endorsed candidate tonight, Governor Rudy Perpich. Wellstone told the crowd a few moments ago that in certain precincts, the entire city of Duluth, he said that he had won with an 81% margin over Jim Nichols. He gave some other partial returns, but said he didn't have anything overall to tell the crowd. And he promised he'd be back in a few minutes when he was prepared to declare an end to his race one way or the other. We're also standing by for Governor Rudy Perpich to arrive here at the hotel. We're told he might come by here before 10:30, but so far, no sign of the governor. Now, standing by at the other Senate candidates' headquarters on the DFL side, headquarters also known as the candidate's home, Jim Nichols' home, here's Mike Walter.
Right you are, Alan Cox. Maybe you're getting tired of seeing all those fancy hotel ballrooms where the candidates like to have their victory parties. We've got a change for you. This is a garage. This is the Jim Nichols Garage in Woodbury. And this is where his supporters have gathered for what they hope will be a victory party over Paul Wellstone later on this evening. This is not a shtick, by the way. This is not a gimmick holding his party here. This is where he's run his campaign, from his home in Woodbury. His wife's been his campaign manager. His daughters have helped out right here from his home. Earlier tonight, Jim Nichols with his daughter Penny watched some of the returns inside the home. He's hoping to get, he says, 40% of the votes in the Twin Cities metropolitan area. He was a little bit below that in the early returns that his supporters have tracked down so far this evening. It was a real family affair here this evening. Lots of people, lots of food, lots of conviviality and optimism. And what do these supporters do with the kids? Well, bring them along. And they set up a VCR here and let the children take over one room where they watch movies of Peter Pan, which they're still doing right now. Joining me is Jim Nichols. Jim, you want to step in here 1 second, if you will. Where do you have to do better to overtake Paul Wellstone's lead?
Obviously, the rural areas. I knew I had to do well in the rural areas, and the returns we're getting in shows we're doing very well out there, the calls. But it takes a long time to count the votes. You know, it's townships. They got to bring them up to the courthouse, and we need a good turnout in the rural area. There's no doubt about that.
Are you farther behind than you'd hoped in the Twin Cities?
We had hoped to run about 60-40 here, and we're not making that. So that's the bad news. The good news is in some of the areas in the rural area, I'm running ahead 80-20. So we don't know yet.
You still optimistic?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
All right, very good. That's the scene from here. Cindy and Colleen.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Here we see some updated returns in the U.S. Senate race on the DFL side. Paul Wellstone, with 13% of the precincts in, has 60% of the vote so far, commanding lead over Jim Nichols with 36% of the vote that is reported now, 13 precincts. And now we're going to turn to some results in the U.S. Congress race.
Exactly, in districts 1, 2, and 3. If we could take a look at those numbers, the U.S. House District number 1, we have Anderson, 78%, with Doug Anderson, Jermaine Davison, 22%. That's with 28% of the precincts counted, and that is District 1, the southeast portion of the state.
In District 2, with 11% of the precincts reporting, Jim Stone with 75% of the vote, that is counted so far, and Gary Laguerre with 25% of the vote. That is District 2 in the U.S. House.
And in the 3rd District, we have Jim Ramstad with 83%, Dave Drummond, 17%. That's the 3rd District, which is the seat being vacated by the retiring Bill Frenzel. Those are the 3 districts of the U.S. House congressional race.
Okay, now we're going to turn to some referendums that were on the ballot this primary election day. In Minnetonka, the school bond issue, voters were asked to decide on a 20-year, $17.5 million school bond referendum. 57% of the voters so far in said no to that referendum. 44% of the precincts are in the Minnetonka school bond issue. And in Bloomington, a bond issue for new city buildings. 66% of the residents with all precincts reporting said no, so that bond issue has been defeated. Another bond issue in Bloomington to improve the park system was also defeated. 90% of the voters said no to that referendum. With much more to come on the 10 o'clock news tonight, including President Bush's justification tonight for Operation Desert Shield.
Plus a victory celebration as a neighborhood dumps a landfill in Eden Prairie.
And what reaction kids had to getting back on the bus a day after a bus crash.
This is the 10 o'clock news on Channel 4.
Just now, the last thing dancing through Harold or Mary's mind is the Honeywell security system protecting their home. Then if they were thinking about that, we wouldn't be doing our job. Honeywell, helping you control your world.
So I'm doing some heavy shopping when I walked past Pearl. Or was it Pearl Express? A sign in the window speaks to me. Sale! It's that. I can handle that. They tell me I can save $25 on one pair of glasses, or I can choose the buy one pair, get the second pair free offer. Second pair free, I said? Second pair free, they said. No coupons? No coupons. Gotta go.
Now at Pearl and Pearl Express, where you get glasses in 1 hour. Call 1-800-YES-EYES for locations.
Hey, how about a little dinner music? For food, folks and fun. I love when it's my night to cook.
It's our night to cook. So come by McDonald's after 4 p.m. and get a Big Mac for just 99 cents. That's right, a 99-cent Big Mac after 4 at McDonald's.
Nobody has a better selection of quality tools and building materials than Knox. The Delta 10-inch miter saw cuts quickly and accurately. $189 during builder days. Benchmark steel entrance doors, durable, weather-tight, polyurethane insulated. On sale at Knox. We've got everything you need to do the job right. Knox, the Project Center.
Right now, Ginny isn't worried about the Honeywell control technology keeping these offices comfortable. If she were worried,
Jenny? You'll be okay, Mom.
we wouldn't be doing our job. Honeywell, helping you control your world.
America is proud of you
and is grateful to every soldier, sailor, Marine, and airman serving the cause of peace in the Persian Gulf.
Tonight, President Bush addressed a joint Congress on the Persian Gulf crisis.
Mr. Bush tonight tried to gather support for his Operation Desert Shield, the military buildup the president ordered in the Middle East. It's an expensive mission with no telling how long it will last or exactly how much it will cost. But the president told Congress that the United States will not be intimidated.
Had we not responded to this first provocation with clarity of purpose, if we do not continue to demonstrate our determination, it would be a signal to actual and potential despots around the world. America and the world must defend common vital interests, and we will.
The president repeated his policy not to bargain for American hostages, saying America and the world will not be blackmailed by Saddam Hussein.
Among other developments, tomorrow up to 800 Americans and Britons will fly out of Iraqi-occupied Kuwait. A U.S. diplomat in Baghdad says most of them will be women and children who will leave behind husbands, boyfriends, and fathers. Two other developments. The U.S. State Department says Cuba and Romania are among the countries cheating on the UN embargo of Iraq, establishing oil deals. Other Eastern European countries are also trying to maintain military sales. And the U.S. soldiers of Saudi Arabia may get a break on their letter-writing costs. Congress is trying to jam through legislation that would provide free mail service for troops in the Gulf region. One of the main complaints about service is they can't find stamps to mail letters home.
It's a battle that was won after the enemy threw in the towel. The battlefield is the Flying Cloud landfill in Eden Prairie, which has been closed the past 2 years. Browning Ferris Industries wanted to double the size of the landfill, even though groundwater contamination, including methane gas, was discovered. BFI today announced this landfill will remain closed. Residents celebrated with the news with champagne and toast. But somewhere down the line, one community will end up with a new landfill, and that decision is expected about 5 years from now.
A new report calls Minnesota's mental health care programs a national disgrace. In a state-by-state analysis, Minnesota ranks 8th in spending on mental health services, but the National Alliance for the Mentally Ill reports progress in Minnesota is, quote, going nowhere. The report says Minnesota is not the only state with mental health centers that are abysmal failures. The report, in fact, says 90% of the states are doing little to help those most in need, and many professionals in that field are abandoning public jobs.
Minnesota advertising is advertising a job of $131,000, but the private psychiatrist can earn $175,000, $200,000 working less hard, and they simply won't take these jobs.
There is one notable exception to the report. The Range Mental Health Center in Virginia, Minnesota is ranked one of the best in the nation.
A development in the controversy over funding for Planned Parenthood. Today, the Cargill Foundation announced it will donate $16,000 to Planned Parenthood's educational and family support programs. The Dayton Foundation recently decided not to give a grant to Planned Parenthood despite previous year's grants. Dayton's foundation's officials said they didn't want to get involved in the abortion controversy. Cargill says it's giving them money on the basis of Planned Parenthood's wide range of health care programs, and officials say the decision does not reflect a position on the abortion issue. One of Planned Parenthood's 25 clinics in Minnesota offers abortions. The controversy is over at another Minnesota company. The picketers last night at Brown and Bigelow have laid down their signs and accepted a new contract offer. Bookbinder union members walked out last Thursday in that dispute. And a follow-up on the Chanhassen school bus crash yesterday that sent more than 50 children to the hospital for treatment.
All were released, including John Just, who was picked up by his parents at St. Francis Hospital. Last night at supper, his dad asked him if he was worried about getting on the bus again.
It's going to be kind of scary, but I know it couldn't happen 2 days in a row.
So was he worried this morning? Well, if so, he didn't show it. John was there, lined up with his friends at the bus stop, third from the right. And when the bus came, he happily climbed aboard. And he was right. It didn't happen 2 days in a row. What a frightening day for those children. We'll be back in just a bit with more on tonight's tornadoes.
And then later in sports, a Viking holdout returns. He could help bolster the sagging offensive line that wasn't too effective last Sunday.
It happens so fast, it's almost over before it starts. Dayton's 13-hour sale starts Wednesday, ends Wednesday, open till 11 p.m.
Dear Walgreens, I'd like to tell you about my experience. I was visiting from out of state when my wife got seriously ill. She required numerous medications, so I appreciate the low prices at Walgreens. And I'd like to thank your pharmacists. They were very considerate. Being 1,100 miles from home made Walgreens service that much sweeter.
It's midnight. Do you know who is filling doctors' prescriptions at this hour? Who? Your 24-hour Walgreens. That's who.
Weather Center 4, keeping you ahead of the storm.
A proposed Minneapolis school referendum hopes to improve education by lowering class sizes. With a price tag of $23 million a year, is this an investment for the future or a waste of taxpayers' money? Join WCCO TV for a Dimension Report Wednesday night at 10.
Do you want a better marriage?
I couldn't communicate with Eileen. Most couples don't listen.
We're going to show you how you can improve your marriage on the next Oprah Winfrey Show.
Wednesday at 4 on Channel 4. Coming up, Mike Fairborn and the weather. Sponsored tonight by MTC Minnesota Rideshare. Take the bus or rideshare at least once a week and save your breath.
The man in that tree is taking a stand against a threat to the environment. Maybe you can't go to these extremes, but there is something you can do. Take the bus or ride share at least once a week, and you can keep significant amounts of ozone smog from damaging our lungs and killing our trees. So stop making excuses. Take the bus or ride share and save your breath.
An awful lot of prayers of Thanksgiving and a lot of cleanup going on
Let's
tonight.
just hope that when it's all over, there are no injuries, okay? The warnings did get out plenty soon if the people heeded them. That's the way things look right now. Around here, fairly quiet, just a very sticky, muggy day, and it's gone into the evening as well. Some people have called in and said you can see the lightning flashes to the northeast from the cities here of those thunderstorms that are still rumbling up over Sawyer and Bayfield County. 88 today for the high, 58 for an early morning low, and it was very pleasant this morning, but the dew points increased rapidly, giving us the sticky, muggy day that we ended up with all day long. Our current conditions right now, we are still partly cloudy at 78 degrees outside, and the dew point is still a very sticky 65 degrees. Well, here's what we're looking at. At 5:15 today, severe thunderstorms warnings until 6 o'clock for Barron County. Then at 6:18, severe thunderstorm warning extended over into Rusk County. Then at 7:15, a tornado warning until 8 o'clock. And finally, at 8 o'clock, those were extended again until 8:45, tornado warnings. Now, I haven't seen a small an area like that with severe weather over the top of them for as long as 3.5 hours under severe thunderstorm warnings or tornado warnings. Still have some watch boxes in effect. They're starting to cancel portions of it, but until 11 p.m. for a big chunk of northern Minnesota and also northern Wisconsin. On the satellite picture, it looked like this, a big area of thunderstorms developing over northern Wisconsin and northern Minnesota, and that's going to continue for the next few hours as that continues to slide slowly on to the east. What we have going on, low pressure right along the U.S.-Canadian border, sucking this warm, sticky air northward. That's going to continue until this low pressure area passes by us sometime on Thursday. And when that does, we're going to get a chunk of cooler air that's already poised up to the north of us. But until then, hot and sticky with temperatures well up into the 90s. Well, the upper wind flow looks like this. We're going to have a little chunk of that begin to brush south over us. And as it does, it's going to be kind of like a speed check in this warm fall we've had. The temperatures are going to kick right back up again before the end of the weekend is over. Here's our forecast. Variable clouds, breezy, warm and humid. It's still a chance of thunderstorms here in the cities, but probably well after midnight. 67 for a low. For tomorrow, we'll still be mostly sunny, warm and humid with a chance of thunderstorms close to 89. That's like it was last week when they canceled schools. Southwest winds at 10 to 20. Still warm and humid with a chance of thunderstorms tomorrow night. 68 degrees. Can you last one more day? Continued warm and humid with a chance of thunderstorms on Thursday with 86 forecast for a high. And then look out. By Friday and Saturday, highs dropping into the 60s. It's going to feel almost like winter. Overnight lows in the low 40s, and we'll slowly warm back up again the first part of the week.
Quite quite a change.
It really will be.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
Mhm.
One program note, we're going to be back after 10:30 with an update on the tornadoes and the damage in Wisconsin, plus a complete wrap-up of the election results today.
But in 2 minutes, Mark Rosen will be here with sports.
It happens so fast, it's almost over before it starts. Dayton's 13-hour sale. Starts Wednesday, ends Wednesday. Open till 11 p.m.
From the hills and villages of northern Italy come delicate, creamy-tasting sauces. And from the warm climes of southern Italy come hearty tomato sauces. Now all these pasta dishes with fresh-baked garlic rolls can come to you, but only if you come to Italy, or Perkins Family Restaurants, whichever is more convenient.
Brand name value is the name of the game at Menards Kickoff Sale. Save now on Lucite Maximum Exterior Latex Flat Paint with 12-year warranty. Its exclusive formula resists cracking and peeling, just $11.49 a gallon. And save on Armstrong Stylistic Vinyl Floor Tile. Just place and press for a beautiful no-wax floor. Choose from 14 patterns, now just 69 cents per tile. Don't pass up Menards Kickoff Sale.
Save big money at Menards.
Free financing. Buy any video product from Best Buy this week and get 0% financing for 1 year. Get 0% financing on the brands you want, like Panasonic, including Panasonic camcorders, Panasonic VCRs, every Panasonic video product. Low prices on the brands America wants and 0% financing. Only at Best Buy. Hurry to Best Buy and get 0% financing for 1 year on Panasonic or any other VCR, camcorder, or TV priced over $200.
The Vikings have a familiar face, but not to them this year anyway, huh? Back in camp.
I'm sure a welcome sight, especially for the rest of the regular guys, they like to call them, the offensive linemen. Center Kirk Loudermilk butted heads with general manager Mike Lynn longer than he ever has with a defensive lineman. But the holdout is over, and Loudermilk will report back to work with the Vikings tomorrow. Now, he was seeking a contract that would be as lucrative as the highest-paid Viking offensive lineman, Gary Zimmerman. He probably got it, minus the signing bonus. Loudermilk started all 16 games at center last year. It's difficult for someone like Kirk to break the so-called salary cap by position. In other words, centers make X amount of money no matter how productive they are. Loudermilk has held out rocking that boat until tonight. And don't be surprised to see him play some against the Saints on Sunday. Well, the Twins are fighting for one thing, the chance to get out of last place in the next 3 weeks. Kevin Tapani made his first start in a month off the disabled list with a muscle strain in his rib cage. Now, he was roughed up a bit here in the first. Chili Davis with an opposite field single. California taking a 2-0 lead. Mark Langston, the big lefty, the big disappointment for the Angels on the mound. The Twins, as I mentioned, trailing 2-0 now in the fourth inning. Tapani has hit his pitch count. He has been sent to the showers, early shower tonight. The Twins started the night 2 games behind Kansas City in their bid to get out of the cellar. Fred McGriff tried to help the Twins tonight, hitting a towering homer off the 6th-place Royals. Of course, McGriff's real motivation is the AL East pennant race. The Royals are losing this game 8-4 in the 8th, but Kansas City second baseman Frank White will find it memorable nonetheless. This RBI double in the 4th inning was the 2,000th hit of White's major league career, coming in front of the Kansas City crowd. It called for a curtain call. Toronto, as I mentioned, leading 8-4 over Kansas City. There's a classy second baseman, Frank White. Elsewhere in the American League, Milwaukee has beaten Boston 4-2, so the Blue Jays now have a chance to pick up a game and trail Boston by just 3 games. Oakland and Seattle, Oakland leading 1-0 in the 3rd. In the National League, both the Mets and the Pirates have won, so the Pirates maintain their 3.5-game lead over New York, and Cincinnati 5-3 over Houston. The North Stars are stealing an idea from Bob Hope and Bing Crosby this preseason, yes, going on the road to the Soviet Union. Of course, Minnesota to Moscow travel takes time, which is why the Stars met at Met Center at 7:30 this morning. 18 hours of travel later, they'll arrive in the Soviet Union. The Stars' 4-game series, Friendship Tour 90, starts Thursday in Moscow. Well, here's a look at the newest Timberwolf. 6'10" forward Brian Rousum claimed off the waiver wire today by the Charlotte Hornets. I've never heard of him either. Relsum averaged only 5.5 points per game last season. He also missed the last 12 games with a cervical cord concussion suffered here, but he's recovered from the back injury and will be in uniform when the Wolves open training camp. And Al Davis and his Renegade Raiders will stay in Los Angeles this season and for the next 20, according to a lease Davis signed today with the LA Coliseum. Davis never met a contract he didn't want to break, but he at least sounds interested in ending the Raiders' back to Oakland stories. Pretty sweet deal for Al Davis, so he will remain in Los Angeles.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
All right, thanks, Mark. Well, that is going to do it for the 10 o'clock news. We'll be back in just a moment with complete election results and more on the damage, tornado damage in Wisconsin.
It's the original Fairground Ski Sale. White Wolf and North Country Ski Shop sale of ski equipment and winter clothing, September 13th through the 16th. Quality downhill and cross-country equipment for every skier on sale. Save on Nordica, Salomon, Rossignol, K2, Fisher, Dynastar, Elan, and more. Skis, boots, bindings, and accessories, price to go. All ski wear 25 to 70% off at the Fairgrounds. It's major discounts on major brands at the Fairgrounds, Thursday through Sunday. It's the ski sale of the year.
September. Do you know where your long underwear is?
Darling, where's my long underwear? Darling, where's my long underwear? Darling, where's my long underwear?
We interrupt your regularly scheduled program to bring you a program of our own.
It's the Cash and a Flash Clearance Bash at your Jeep and Eagle dealer. Save Cash and a Flash on new Eagle Premiers. Save instantly on Jeep Cherokees. Save on the spot on Eagle Talon. And the freedom-loving Jeep Wrangler. So dash to the bash today.
See your Great Northern Jeep Eagle dealers, where you can expect the best.
We now return to your regular program.
Tonight on WCCO Channel 4, a special report. Expanded coverage on both the primary election in Minnesota tonight and from western Wisconsin, coverage of the series of tornadoes that tore through several towns earlier this evening.
Good evening again. We're back with a Channel 4 special news report on what has been a very busy evening.
Not only have we been covering tornado touchdowns and damage in northwest Wisconsin, we've been tallying up tonight's election totals, and that is where we'll start.
And let's begin with the governor's race on the DFL side. Incumbent Governor Rudy Perpich with 24% of the precincts in with a 52% lead over Mike Hatch, who has 46% of the votes at this point with 24% of the precincts in. In the governor's race on the independent Republican side, John Grunseth with 50% of the votes now in with just 24% of the precincts in. Grunseth has 50% of the votes. Arnie Carlson has 33% of the votes, 21,000, and Doug Kelly has 15% of those votes that are in with 9,500.
Let's take a look at the race now for U.S. Senate. We have the Jim Nichols campaign along with Paul Wellstone. If we could take a look at those. First, though, we should mention that AP has just declared Rudy Boschwitz the winner.
And Rudy Boschwitz had no significant opposition in his race, so that's no surprise to anyone that he has been nominated for the general election.
So we will look at the Senate, the DFL Senate numbers with 23% of the precincts in. Right now, Paul Wellstone with 59% of those votes counted. Jim Nichols, 36%.
And our government reporter, Pat Kessler, has been standing by tonight. Pat, what do you think so far of the results in this evening?
Well, very interesting, particularly on the Republican side. We're at Arnie Carlson headquarters in Bloomington, election night headquarters here. We hear that some of these numbers are coming from the south part of the state. They're coming from the metro area. That is not good news for Arnie Carlson. With 24% of the vote in, he appears to be trailing. He says it's time to be concerned if it gets up to about 30%. It is inching up that. Now, with the governor's race also, the governor was expected to do a little bit better than he is doing, perhaps because some of these metro area or southern totals are not yet coming in. Now, As far as the Grunseth-Carlson-Kelly race goes, it could be a tribute. If Carlson is leading, Grunseth is leading, it could be because the Republican Party has pulled out all the stops. They sent out hundreds of thousands of pieces of mail. They made hundreds of thousands of phone calls during the last 7 days to get out the vote. They have said all along that it is this last-minute push that would push John Grunseth over the top. Now, over at John Grunseth headquarters, Bill Hudson is standing by.
It's exactly that concern on the part of the Carlson camp that has raised some confidence over here at the Grunseth camp. They're winning in places they didn't expect to. For instance, Apple Valley. They say they've built about a 2-to-1 lead in Apple Valley and also in portions of Bloomington. Now, these are parts of the metro area that they thought might go to Carlson early. They also plan on winning big in the outstate regions, District 1, District 2, down in southern and southwestern Minnesota, and also District 7. A huge applause has gone up right now. Some new figures have been released that show John Grunseth holding on to that early lead. They say that when he gets up to that 30% of the precincts reporting, that if his lead holds up, they think they've got a lock on this. One reason they think they've done so well is that last-minute push. 117,000 phone calls just in the last week. Back to the set, Colleen.
Okay, thank you, Bill. We're going to be back in just a moment with more election results and more on the tornado damage in Wisconsin. Please stay with us.
Nobody has a better selection of quality tools and building materials than Knox. Pick up a 4-pack of Sylvania's soft white light bulbs, 89 cents after rebate during Builder Days. KV variation shelving. Screw it in, snap it together. Save 20% at Knox. We've got everything you need to do the job right. Knox, the Project Center.
Out of a few essentials, this week at Snyder's, rich Neutrogena emulsion in its own pump dispenser is just $3.99 with coupon. Fun-size Baby Ruth and Butterfinger candy bars are $1.89 a bag, and assorted sizes of Glad trash bags are priced at 3 for $4 with coupon. So next time you run out of something important, run into Snyder's.
Arby's presents a Taste of France with their delicious French dip and curly fries combo for just $2.49. This includes Arby's French dip with slow-roasted roast beef and hot au jus plus spicy curly fries, or the French dip and Swiss with tender roast beef, sautéed onions, Swiss cheese, and hot au jus plus curly fries for $2.49. So get a delightful Taste of France with Arby's French dip and curly fry combo or French dip and Swiss curly fry combo for just $2.49. Bon appetit!
Welcome back. We're going to have more election results in just a moment, but first we're going to turn to our other big news story of the night, that of course the tornadoes that ravaged several towns in northwestern Wisconsin tonight.
The tornadoes struck just after 6 o'clock, but several tornadoes have twisted through Wisconsin in the hours since the first touchdowns. Here's a map now of where those tornadoes hit, and most of the damage is in Barron County, Wisconsin, which is 90 miles northeast of the Twin Cities. Tonight, residents in the towns of Rice Lake, Cumberland, Canton, Cameron, and Almena are trying to size up what's left of their homes and businesses. Tom Gasparoli has been talking with people in the Canton area, and he joins us now live. Tom?
Cindy, I'm right off the main road here in Canton, Wisconsin, which is a very small town in the heart of Barron County. And although there is damage reported to several other cities in this part of the state, Canton appears to have gotten the worst of it. Dozens of homes here were damaged, a few destroyed. About 6:30 tonight in this area, a tremendous storm roared through here. Residents here and elsewhere reported at least 30 tornado sightings and as many as 12 tornado touchdowns. But because of storm sirens in some cases and very good luck in others, there are no reports of any serious injuries. The structural damage, though, was very heavy. Let's take a look at some of the pictures we have now. This house was the hardest hit. It looks more like a toy house with one wall literally ripped out. Stunned residents inside trying to assess the damage. No one hurt here, but the house ruined. A feed mill down the street also destroyed. This is where farmers take their feed, mix it, go back, and feed their cattle. Gone. wiped out by the storm. Emotions everywhere. Husband and wife meet for the first time after part of their house is destroyed. Another house down the street, partially damaged, no one hurt. Everyone here feels lucky. This storm is the worst storm the people of Canton have ever seen. A town of about 100, nearly all of them touched.
I came up out of the basement and grabbed some blankets and that and looked out the back window, and all we seen was just yellow, nothing else. I just seen yellow and that was it. And I just flew into the basement. There was nothing to do. It was just a mess.
It just collapsed right in front of me, just like one big black thing, and then it disappeared because the wind and rain was so intense, and then that was it. But there's quite a bit of damage to the village of Canton.
The entire town of Canton is without power right now. There are several other small communities in this area with the same problem. People who need shelter here in the Canton and Cameron area can go to Cameron High School. There is food and bedding available there. It's been a rough, frightening night here, but again, the good news is that there are no injuries. We'll have to wait till sunup to see just how bad the damage really is.
It looks like at least it's not raining anymore. Is the severe weather moved on now, Tom?
It seems to have. It hasn't been raining here since we got here, which was about 2 hours ago.
All right, nice work. Thank you. Well, as you just heard, no one was injured in the tornado or the aftermath, but it's going to be some time before the damage estimates are in. We want to check in now with Mike Fairborn to see where those storms are and where they're headed. Mike.
Well, thank you. You know, one, I guess, good thing about this, and that is that we saw the storm developing over Barron County. The National Weather Service got the warnings out in absolutely fantastic time, and I think we can attribute at least much of the loss of or the lack of injuries, and certainly no reports of any deaths due to the fact that the National Weather Service got the warnings out in such timely fashion. You can still see we still have some trouble spots up there. As little as an hour ago, we had baseball-sized hail in the Trigo area, and that's, of course, just a little bit north and to the east of Spooner. Still some very, very heavy rains falling up in this area, and still up in the Sawyer County and up into Washburn County. Still some problems tonight, but these thunderstorms are moving to the east, starting to move at least. They were almost stationary for about 3 hours, but if they continue to move on, then they should not have any more problems up there. And certainly they're moving out of the range almost of our radar, and they'll be moving across northern Wisconsin probably through the night. But right now, there's still a severe thunderstorm watch that's in effect for the northern part of Wisconsin, but there are no warnings in effect as of this hour. That's the good news, and back to you guys.
That is good news. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Now we're going to turn to some more election results. We're going to turn first to some of the state offices up for primary election today. Let's turn first to Secretary of State. Incumbent Joan Grow, of course, was unopposed in her race. On the independent Republican side, David Jennings with 44,000 votes with 24% of the precincts in. His challenger, Lorraine Schoeneck-Bedman, with just 20% of the votes. So Jennings with a commanding lead in that race.
We'd now like to take a look at the Attorney General, Skip Humphrey unopposed. On the IR side, it is Howard Hansen behind his opponent, Kevin Johnson. Johnson's got 48% of the vote with 24% of the precincts reporting. Now for State Treasurer, we have the incumbent, Michael McGrath, ahead of his opponent, Bob Johnson, 51% to 39% with 26% of the precincts reporting. And on the IR side, it is John Berger over Wal Carlson, 70% to 30%, again, 26% of the precincts reporting.
Okay, now we're going to turn to the Office of Auditor, of course, vacated by Arnie Carlson. 11 candidates wanted the job. The top contenders are on the DFL side, Mark Dayton, with 25% of the precincts in. Mark Dayton has 69% of the vote, as opposed to Hansen. And then coming up on the independent Republican side, Bob Henrich with 28% of the votes, 28% of the votes so far, as opposed to Don Koenig. That's with just 25% of the precincts in. So that is a very close race on the independent Republican side of auditor.
I think we have a few more precincts reporting in the DFL race for governor right now. If we could take a look at those numbers. Well, first of all, we're going to go out to Alan. No, we're not. We're going to take a look at those numbers. We have got Governor Perpich, 53% over Mike Hatch and his running mate, with a 26% of the precincts reporting, a 53 to 45% margin.
Okay, now let's go to Alan Cox, who is standing by at DFL headquarters. What do they think of that margin down there, Alan?
Well, let's find out. I'm standing beside the DFL State Party Chair, Todd Otis. Todd, if this were a perfect world, your endorsed candidates would have been able to declare victory and they'd have gotten on the top of the 10 o'clock news. Has something gone wrong here?
I think the world is pretty close to perfect tonight. It looks very good for the governor and very good for Paul Wellstone and the rest of the ticket, so I'll take near perfect.
Do you think a declaration of victory is imminent, though, for either one of them?
I think so. I think that certainly Wellstone's numbers are extremely strong all over, but still need more precincts to report. The governor's doing very well, particularly in greater Minnesota, running neck and neck in the Twin Cities. I think he's going to win by 8 or 10 points.
You were saying earlier you thought Wellstone might be able to declare victory before Perpich. What does that mean?
Well, at this point, at least some of the numbers, like in Duluth, where he got 81% of the vote, indicates that he's really doing extremely well. I think they're both going to win, and that's my idea of perfection.
Right. And how do you think the party stands after this? We're still showing very close counts on the numbers we have so far. Does that show a disunity that the Republicans are going to be able to exploit?
No, I think far from it. We've got good candidates, whether they're endorsed or not, but it shows that the endorsement system worked well, because I think the party's close to the people of Minnesota, and I think we're going to have our two strongest candidates coming out of tonight.
All right, we're still standing by for that. Todd Otis, DFL State Chair. Back to you, Colleen and Cindy.
Okay, thank you, Ellen. We'd like to take a look at a few more numbers now. This time in the DFL Senate race, we have, with 27% of the precincts reporting, Paul Wellstone with a 58% to 37% lead over his opponent, Jim Nichols.
And Mike Walsher is standing by at Jim Nichols' home, and Nichols has to be pretty disappointed with those numbers so far.
Well, actually, there's been a little bit of a spark of optimism here at the Nichols campaign, which is the garage of his home in Woodbury. And, Jim, what is the source of any optimism you see, despite the numbers that are on the screen?
Well, as we get the numbers coming in from the rural counties, I'm leading in almost all of the rural counties, so that's good news. Clearly, we've got to offset some fairly big numbers here in the metro area. The numbers in Hennepin County get beat worse in Hennepin County than I had hoped, but as the numbers keep coming in from the rural area, it keeps looking better.
Can you get enough votes from the rural counties to offset the losses you're suffering in the Twin Cities?
I hope so, and in large part it turns on the margin, the voter turnout in the rural areas. That's really what it hinges on right now.
Do you know what that turnout is?
No, because none of the rural counties, I know I'm strongly ahead in most of the rural counties, but none of them have completed their totals. They just haven't. Not all the townships are in.
Do you believe that abortion is the key issue between you and Wellstone, and is that reflected in the numbers you're seeing?
Well, I think it's reflected more in the numbers in Hennepin County. Clearly, the pro-choice vote was strongly against me here in Hennepin County. I think it's less of an issue in the rural areas. I really never found it to be a great issue in the rural areas. There's a lot of big issues out there. The economy is one, farm economy, many issues.
All right, very good. Thank you, Jim. Colleen and Cindy?
Thank you very much, Mike. Colleen?
Okay, now we're going to go out to government reporter Pat Kessler, who has some updates on the election results for the Minnesota House and Senate races, some of those key races. Pat?
There are a number of key races in both the House and Senate, and not a whole lot. Remember, there are 201 seats in the Minnesota legislature. Very few of them are actually being challenged. 61% for Jeff Hansen. That's out in Washington County over Mr. Popovich, who has 100 votes, 14% of the precincts reporting. This is a tough race over in Roseville. Arlene Vickers has 52% of the vote over Jim Traeger, 48%. That is in the Republican side of the race. The winner of that race would face Mary Jo McGuire. A very interesting race over in the east side of St. Paul. It's a Democratic race. Rich O'Connor is the representative there. He is the incumbent. He is leading 55 to 45% over Pat Hill with 33% of the precincts reporting. And this is the state Senate, District 25. That would be the seat that is now held by Senator Clarence Purfors, who is going to be retiring this year. 44% for Jane McWilliams over Dan Gustafson with 38%. That's 56% of the precincts reporting. There is also a Republican race in that district. We'll get to that some other time. In District 30, Mel Frederick, the senator from Owatonna, is getting beaten. He is the incumbent, longtime incumbent senator, Mel Frederick, by Dick Day, who is a popular football coach in Owatonna. 57% for Dick Day, 43% for Mel Frederick. That is a race that is relying heavily on the anti-abortion vote for Mr. Day. In DFL District number 42, that is Larry Beer. He has 22% of the vote against John Cochran, who has 78% of the vote. That is a district that is held by Don Storm. He is an incumbent Republican in Edina, Eden Prairie, out that way in the suburbs. And in State Senate District 45, Warren Kapsner with 71% of the vote over Mary Tamburino. DFL District 51, the state Senate district. Betzold is leading Frank by a vote of 51% to 49%. Now, we should point out that Senator Don Frank in Spring Lake Park is the incumbent. He's been there for many years. Kind of a surprise here with 83% of the vote in. It looks like Senator Don Frank, the Democrat, is losing to another Democrat, Mr. Betzold. And this is a very interesting race, one of the most hotly contested races in the legislature. Sandy Pappas, a state representative from St. Paul, is challenging incumbent Democratic Senator Don Moe. With 26% of the precincts reporting, Pappas leads Moe 57% to 43%. And an interesting vote here in State Senate District 66. Gene Waldorf, who is the legislature's leading anti-abortion advocate, authors most of the bills there. 65% of the vote to Tom Montgomery, 35%. Tom Montgomery is a candidate of the abortion rights groups. They had placed a lot of hopes on him. Gene Waldorf going on to an apparent easy victory there. So a lot of the surprises still coming. It's going to be a long night, it looks like. Here at the Carlson headquarters, people are a little more subdued. Carlson is trailing John Grunset. They say also, though, we have a long night here as well. Colleen, Cindy?
Pat, a quick question. Do you think the abortion issue has been instrumental in the Minnesota Senate and House races and the other races as well, this primary election?
If I had to make a guess right now with some of these preliminary results, I would say that the anti-abortion vote is out there. Some of those groups are more organized than the abortion rights groups. In some of the races in southern Minnesota, particularly with Senator Mel Frederick's district, and in Senator Gene Waldorf's district in St. Paul, the anti-abortion forces apparently got out in numbers, well organized, and they are apparently making the difference in those races. It's hard to say with some of the larger races so far.
Okay, thank you, Pat.
And we'll be back in just a moment with more election results.
About recycling programs in your neighborhood, call The Connection at 922-9000.
A new TV season is about to begin. Between broadcast and cable, you'll have more new shows, specials, movies, and miniseries to choose from this fall than ever before. Want to find out which ones are really worth watching? Then pick up TV Guide's Fall Preview. In it, you'll find out about all the new programs, including broadcast, cable, syndicated shows, specials, virtually everything on television. So get TV Guide's Fall Preview today. You're not ready for fall without it.
People love the listen all day sound of the Light FM, 103 WLTE.
Pick it up from the top again.
We're already there.
You don't need to worry about the...
People love the listen all day sound of the Light FM, 103 WLTE. The only place you'll hear relaxing light songs. Start your day elsewhere? That's okay. Because no matter how you start, spend the day with the Light FM, 103 WLTE.
It's time to get on board the Science Museum of Minnesota. For the tail end of Bears, Imagination and Reality. See it before the national tour. For a new exhibit, Space Spin-Offs. See how life in space has changed life on Earth. And for a new weekend activity, H2O Minnesota. Come test the waters. From children to grandparents, it's time to get on board. Join us at the Science Museum of Minnesota.
We're back now with continuing coverage of Primary 90, and we'd like to update you on the DFL race for governor. We have some new numbers in, with 34% of the precincts reporting right now. The Perpich-Johnson ticket has a 53 to 45% lead over the Hatch-Staples ticket.
Okay, now we're going to go to Ellen Cox, who is standing by at DFL headquarters, and Pat Kessler, who is at Carlson headquarters. Gentlemen, where is Governor Perpich tonight?
We're told that he's not here right away. His sign's here, but he's not here. His communications director told me a few minutes ago not to expect him any time in the next half hour, and we'll have to see whether he shows up tonight at all. They say they remain optimistic about the trends so far that they've shown a very well outstate and in some of the suburban metro counties, and hoping to hold their own in Hennepin and Ramsey counties.
Why should he be there anyway, Alan? I mean, this is a man who has run against the party for many years, trying to run as an outsider, even though he apparently is the ultimate insider if he is the governor. And he needs to do a couple of things. I think you mentioned earlier that they've put 200 people in a room that's set for 100. I think if the longer the governor waits, the more excited the people get back there. A very simple rule.
Well, they're standing by. Well, yes, here comes Paul Wellstone, if I can jump off the subject for just a moment. And I suspect this is going to be a victory statement of some sort. He's walking up, his wife beside him, family members, walking through the crowd now. You can see the green Wellstone signs surrounding him as he wakes his way through the crowd. He had said earlier in a statement just after 10 o'clock that he had very good returns so far, wasn't quite prepared to declare a victory. And of course, what's typical in these situations is that the candidate who declares victory waits for the other candidate to admit defeat. Jim Nichols certainly didn't admit defeat to Mike Walcher, so we're just going to have to wait and see what Paul Wellstone says as he makes it up here. Just now getting up to the podium, past a little disc jockey who's providing some more music to add to the loudness and the riot conditions here. Candidates shaking hands now with some of the party leadership standing at the back of the podium. His wife receiving hugs from DFL leaders. And Todd Otis, the state DFL chair, who we spoke with just a few minutes ago, is apparently going to introduce the Senate candidate.
Okay. I want to
One thing that the state DFL chair, Todd Otis, told us a few minutes ago was that he sees Wellstone running ahead of the incumbent governor throughout the state. And he had predicted, Todd Otis had predicted that Paul Wellstone would be the first to make a victory statement.
I think
Here's
it looks
Todd
like
Otis.
we got a winner here. Let me say that it's a family affair, and I've gotten to know the whole Wellstone family well during the past year and a half, and I'd like to introduce to you one remarkable woman, Sheila Wellstone.
Thank you so much. Many of you know us, many of you don't. I'd like for you to meet my children, Paul and my children, Mark, Marcia, and David. At the beginning, people said to us, this is really hard on a family, but it's been wonderful for our family. David's wife, Tammy, couldn't be here, but they've been supporting us while they're doing their farming in southern Minnesota and working there for us. Mark worked for us all summer, commuting to the cities every day, and Marcia's been coming home from the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and she's going to go back this fall and campaign hard for us there to organize a campus. What I'd like... She's going to do it, and it's going to get all those folks here. What I'd like to tell you is that over the next 8 weeks, all the people who have not gotten to know Paul and who don't know why all of us support him the way he does, they're going to be able to find out how passionately he is when he supports all of our children in education, fights for a good environment, supports all people who are suffering social injustices, and just believes in a politics and works in a politics that comes directly from his heart. With all of you. It has been wonderful all spring, all summer. You've given us so much strength. It's going to be wonderful over the next 8 weeks to work with all kinds of new people across the state, and we're going to beat Rudy Boschwitz in November. I want to now give you calls.
Everybody. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. The trends are very clear. There is no question in our mind that we have now won the nomination of the Democratic Party. I would like to thank Jim Nichols for speaking out with conviction about the issues that he cares about. I would like to thank him for running a very fine campaign. I would like to thank Governor Perpich and the ticket for the tremendous support that they gave me and gave us. And most important of all, I'd like to thank you. You know, they say I don't have $1 million. I'm not a millionaire, and I certainly don't have Rudy Boschwitz's $6 million or $7 million or $8 million. Let me just say something in this room. There are so many young people in here involved for the first time. We're working within this political system. We're working within political parties. And we might not have the money, but by God, we made 150,000 phone calls through coordinated campaign ourselves. We went grassroots. It was a 3-shirt-a-day campaign. Now it'll be a 10-shirt-a-day campaign. We'll go into every community. We'll be on our bus. It'll be a politics that people will believe in. I'll be honest on the issues. We have tremendous hope. We'll continue to go door to door. And in November of 1990, we won't turn politics upside down. It's already upside down where money counts. We'll turn it right side up where people count.
Paul Wellstone giving a fiery speech here to his supporters at the state DFL campaign headquarters in Minneapolis. He says that the fact that he's being heavily outspent by the incumbent Republican Senator Rudy Boschwitz will not make a difference, and he'll bring enthusiasm. But he makes this a victory speech before this crowd well before Jim Nichols has made any sort of
Why don't
concession
we?
speech. And Mike Walter,
Why don't we
I
tonight
suspect that's not going over too well where you are.
make it clear?
Right, Alan
About
Cox.
what the
I'm here
choice
with
is.
Jim Nichols in the kitchen of his home.
choice-
He has been listening as Paul Wellstone has claimed his victory. Jim, can I interrupt you 1 second? Are you ready to concede defeat as Wellstone has claimed victory?
No, I'm not ready to concede yet because the rural vote is not yet in. So let's wait a little bit yet. But clearly...
What do you think about his tactic of going on television? Did he call you and tell you he was going to do this?
No, he didn't. But, I mean, if Paul won, I'll be happy to congratulate him. And really, I mean, because it was a good race and a clean race. And I want to say that. I guess I thought it was a little bit early. We'll see once the numbers that I get show something different. But clearly he did well in St. Louis County.
And he did well in Hennepin County, as you told us earlier.
He did well in Hennepin County. He did well in Ramsey County. I expected to lose those 3 counties. I didn't expect to lose them by this margin.
All right. Do you really believe that you can pick up enough votes to overtake him now, or is it over?
I'm not ready to say it's over yet, no.
All right. Very good. That's the situation in the kitchen of Jim Nichols' home. Colleen.
Okay, thank you, Mike Walsher, and thank you, Alan Cox, who has brought us Paul Wellstone's speech from the DFL headquarters. We're now going to take a look at some of the numbers in the governor's race on the independent Republican side. John Grunseth with 49% of the vote, as opposed to Arnie Carlson with 33% of the vote. That's with 40% of the precincts in. In that race as well, do we have some results for Doug Kelly? Apparently we do not have those results, but John Grunseth with a fairly substantial lead at this point with 40% of the precincts in.
And we are going to go to John Grunseth's headquarters at the Bloomington Registry, where we have Bill Hudson standing by live now. Bill.
Well, Cindy, Colleen, it's a very surprising evening here at the Grunseth headquarters. They've just announced some new figures, and they are still in the lead by a wide margin over Arnie Carlson. They say they are very surprised by that, although confident in the last couple of days because of their massive phone campaign in which they've called about 117,000 people. They say that's paying off. They also say their strategy has paid off of holding back on the television advertising until the last couple of weeks of the campaign. I have with me the chairman of the Independent Republican Party, Bob Weinholzer. Bob, explained to us this amazing, surprising show of strength that this ticket has found in the metro area. Where did it come from?
I got to tell you, I'm surprised about that myself. We had kind of anticipated that we would probably lose the metro area. We wanted to do well, and that we definitely win it out state. But we're actually winning in a lot of the metro area, which is, I think, a surprise to everyone.
Now, a major player in this campaign has already called it a victory, saying the race is over. Are you ready to go that far?
Well, if we're winning this well in the metro, I would have to say, yeah, the race is over. That John Grunseth definitely has won.
We'll be waiting for the candidate to get to the podium and claim victory.
I think it'll be shortly with that type of a lead.
Thank you, Bob. We'll talk to you later. Now we're going to go over to Pat Kessler over at the Arnie Carlson headquarters. Pat?
Bill, Arnie Carlson crowd here is a little bit subdued. People are leaving slowly. Earlier tonight, there were an awful lot of people here, an air of expectation. They have been somewhat deflated over the last couple of hours. The votes are not going very well for the Arnie Carlson campaign. Arnie Carlson himself said he would give credit to Grunseth for getting people out to go to the polls. The higher voter turnout was needed, Arnie says, in order for him to do better. He says that the negative ads of John Grunseth were hurtful to him, and he said that very few voters turned out in the Twin Cities. These are all things that Arnie Carlson is saying hurt his campaign here tonight. He says he's trailing by about 17,000 votes, and he hopes to make up that over time. But he also says that he'd rather be on the winning end of this, of course, and he's waiting until half of the votes are in, until 50% of the votes are in, before he makes any kind of a statement, any kind of a judgment, any kind of a concession. So here it is very somber. The news is not good, and all of the numbers so far do not look very good for the Carlson campaign. Colleen,
Pat, I have a quick question. Do you think Doug Kelly was at all instrumental in this? Did he take votes away from Arnie Carlson?
It appears with the early numbers that I've seen so far that Doug Kelly did indeed take some of the numbers away from Arnie Carlson. We're not going to know this until we can really look at the numbers, but in some of the strong districts where Doug Kelly was strong and Arnie Carlson had hoped to, particularly in the metro suburbs, Doug Kelly did better than expected.
Okay, thank you, Pat. We're going to turn now to some of the election results for the Board of Commissioners in the various counties. In Dakota County, Lodig is the incumbent, has 51% of the vote, as opposed to Van Dyne with 32% of the vote. That's with 17% of the precincts in.
Taking a look at the Hennepin County Commissioner District number 1, we have McLaughlin with 50%, Vernon Bellecourt 17%, that's with 51% of the precincts reporting. District 1 of Hennepin County Commissioner race.
In District 4 in Hennepin County, John Darris, the incumbent, with 60% of the vote so far. Crandall with 23%, that's with 38% of the precincts reporting.
In District number 6 for Hennepin County, we have Jones with 31%, and Janke with 20%, 53% of the precincts reporting.
And now in District 7 in Hennepin County, Mark Andrew, the incumbent, with 68% of the vote so far. Kirshner with 21%, and that is with more than half of the precincts reporting.
And now, Ramsey County 2nd District Court Judge, Michael DeCourcy, 35% against, that would be Marcy Wallace, 17%, 86% of the precincts reporting in the Ramsey County 2nd District Court Judge race.
And there were 6 people who were competing in that race. In Scott County, in Commissioner race in District 4, Underfirth with 27% of the vote, a very close race. White just behind with 26% of the vote. That is with 1/4 of the precincts in so far.
And now Washington County District 2 Commissioner race. We have Mary Hauser with 60% of the vote, and Russ Larkin 27, that's incumbent Russ Larkin, 42% of the precincts are reporting.
And turning now to Wright County Commissioner race in District 4, Arlene Nelson, the incumbent, with 48% of the vote, as opposed to Tom Plastid with 33% of the vote. That is with half of the precincts reporting in District 4 in Wright County.
District 5, Wright County, we have Ed Erickson with 48% of the votes, and Richard Dick Matson with 20%, 27% of the precincts reporting. Wright County Commissioner, District number 5.
Turning now to Anoka County, the commissioner's race there in District 2. Bob Burnham, the incumbent, with 42% of the vote, as opposed to Marilyn Schultz with 34% of the vote. That's with 82% of the precincts in.
Some of the commissioner races. We go now live to Arnie Carlson campaign headquarters at the Thunderbird Motel in Bloomington.
Helpers than this campaign had.
Arnie Carlson has just come up to the podium. Let's listen to him.
Grateful. Now, the truth is, we don't know where these numbers are yet coming from. Now, we've got 40% of the vote in. I say that we're in for a long, long night. Let's go out and celebrate and win this one.
Well, if you were expecting a concession speech, that is not what we heard tonight. Arnie Carlson says he's going to stick it out. He wants to wait until more of these numbers come in. He has said all night long that he expects to get the best vote in the metro area, and he needs to do very well down in Olmsted County, particularly in Rochester, and then take a riverboat ride up those cities, Wabasha, Winona, Red Wing, and then up to the southern suburbs. He says he doesn't know where these numbers are coming from yet, the ones that we've seen showing him trailing Grunset. And he says, we're going to wait and see.
So are we.
Okay. We're going to take a moment now to review the numbers on the governor's race on the Republican side. John Grunset with 49% of the vote, as opposed to Arnie Carlson with 33% of the vote. That's with 45% of the precincts in so far. And now we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more election results in a moment.
Tired of cold, impersonal conversation? Well, now you can talk to that certain someone that really wants to hear all about you and share with you that special friendship that you didn't know existed. Call the friend line and talk to me or one of my friends. Live, one-to-one, anytime, 24 hours a day. When you need someone or just want to be silly. I can't think of a better way to ease the craziness of a busy day. Can you? Call now.
$2 per minute, must be over 18.
Midwest Sports Channel is a cable TV network made especially for Midwest sports fans. We bring you Minnesota Twins baseball, University of Minnesota Gopher basketball, Minnesota North Stars hockey, the National Hockey League, University of Notre Dame sports, and more. If you're looking for local sports coverage, get it on MFC, a cable TV exclusive.
Welcome back. Let's take a quick look at the results in the governor's race on the DFL side. Governor Perpich maintains a lead over his challenger, Mike Hatch. Perpich with 54% of the vote as opposed to Mike Hatch with 44% of the vote. That is with 44% of the precincts reporting.
We are going to go now live to Trish Van Pilsum, who is standing by, as you can see, with Mike Hatch at the Hatch campaign headquarters. Trish.
Colleen and Cindy, there is a room full of people here who want to disagree, first of all, with Todd Otis, DFL State Chair, when he says Rudy Perpich should be close to be declaring victory. People here have not given up. The numbers are still about as they have been all evening long, and Mike Hatch is here to explain what he thinks about those. Earlier, you had talked about the numbers coming in from the from the outstate areas. Clearly, we're getting some metro results now. Are you becoming more concerned?
Well, obviously, we'd rather be ahead than behind, but we'll wait and see what the whether all of the districts are coming in and whether we're going to get a good representation coming out of 3rd, 4th, and 5th districts. That's the big issue.
44% of the precincts reporting. Some of the other candidates have said they're going to wait till perhaps half of the precincts are in. Have you decided for yourself at what point you'll be able to really call this?
No, but I do think it's important to make sure that we're getting a good representative sample from throughout the state on it. But at this point in time, it's we'll wait a little more and we'll see what happens.
What issues do you think, do you hope will carry you stronger in the metro area?
Well, I think there's no doubt that we've had a better shake of it, a better percentage coming out of that metro area. The question is, do we have enough there to offset it? And we'll see.
Okay, thank you very much. We don't know how long it'll be before we see enough of those metro results for this campaign to be comfortable to call any results at this point. We're going to go now to Alan Cox.
Hi, Trish. We're with Paul Wellstone, who's just claimed victory. But, Paul, your opponent, Jim Nichols, says he still wants to see the rural precincts. He says he's not ready to concede.
Well, it's been a hard-fought campaign, and I can understand why Jim would say that. But the trend is so clear, Alan. It's so big up in the 8th and big in the metro area, and even holding my own in the other parts of the state. So I think there's just no question that we have won this, and I'm very pleased about that.
You think this says something about how well the DFLers are going to come together in the election?
I think so. The governor has helped me immensely, and I've tried to help him. We both have really been supportive of one another. An awful lot of people got behind the campaigns.
How big was the abortion issue in your race?
Well, I think it was an issue. I mean, it was an important issue to people, and there were also other important issues. I always, from the word go, tried to talk about health care and the environment, and kids and child care, and foreign policy issues. So there were a number of issues that were real important. But the most important thing of all to me was all of the people, especially the younger people that have been involved in this campaign. It's quite a story, and the work that they've done has been unbelievable.
Finally, you face a Republican incumbent who's spending millions of dollars, and you've raised only a fraction of that.
I know, but people are supposed to judge candidates, and Minnesotans will, on the content of character, on leadership, on vision. I'm not afraid of a $6 or $7 or $8 million, and I'm not wealthy. But I'm taking my campaign to people in the state, and they're going to love it, and we're going to win.
One more quick question. How many debates?
Oh, there have got to be at least 3 or 4 debates, and they've got to be real good give-and-take debates.
Paul Wellstone, thank you for talking to us this evening. Back to you, Cindy and Colleen.
Thank you, Alan, very much.
Thank you, Alan. We're going to go now to Pat Kessler, who's standing by at Carlson headquarters, our government reporter. Pat, I'm wondering, and looking at what has happened this evening, going into this, there was some concern whether endorsed candidates were going to do well. They've done very well this evening, so the endorsement issue, it appears, has been vindicated.
We've been hearing this for many, many years. People have been wondering since Rudy Perpich challenged the endorsed candidate 8 years ago. And people have been wondering whether this endorsement system was sick, dying, or even dead. Apparently, so far tonight, it looks like it's doing very well, thank you. I can just see it now with Paul Wellstone apparently cruising to a victory here tonight. And I say apparently because Jim Nichols wants to wait. But with Paul Wellstone apparently cruising toward a victory, I can just see it. The Wellstone-Boschwitz race will be a race against money. Wellstone is bringing it up already. He's going to talk about running against $6 million because there's no way Paul Wellstone's going to be able to raise a fraction of that.
Pat, what is it going to take to compete against Rudy Boschwitz in his strong showing and all that money?
Well, I think that's what the DFLers are trying to figure out right now. Rudy Boschwitz is the most popular politician in Minnesota. The only politician more popular in Minnesota is President George Bush. Boschwitz is more popular than Rudy Perpich, more popular than Dave Durenberger. People generally, independents, Democrats, and Republicans alike, generally think that Boschwitz has done a good job, but at least not a bad enough job to throw him out of office. That's what the polls have indicated so far. Wellstone's job is to raise other issues. Wellstone will talk about the money, of course, but he'll also talk about the special interest groups that he says have supported Boschwitz and the votes that he says Boschwitz has taken on behalf of these interests. So the campaign is just beginning, no matter who wins tomorrow.
Thanks, Pat. Thanks, Pat. Well, we're going to wrap this up for the time being. We will be back later on, though, as we get more election results in and more candidates to talk to. See you later. Thanks for joining us.